doesn't take me by the hand. He sets the path, he gives you the example, he shows it to you clearly, and then says,
Follow me.
follow me.
Yeah.
And I'm leading you. There's an active, but there's an inactive quality to it too. So, it's follow the leader.
That's the job of a teacher is to lead, isn't it?
It's not medieval picture.
Isn't?
No, it's John Wayne, the cowboy, driving the herd. Driving the herd, and the shepherd leads the sheep. It's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Since we're supposed to lead our family and friends towards the truth, Matthew 5:11 says, "Blessed you when they persecute you for my name's sake." I mean, it's not always easy, and we're probably going to be put down, and they're going to say you're wrong, and I'm going to do what I want to do. Because they're basically cursing you. But you're going to be blessed because you're planting a seed, and then they'll see that their actions are wrong and what you do is right, and they'll do it. That's all I hope anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because how did Yeshua lead? How many people did he grab and drag along?
No.
None. He had, if you read through each gospel and just write down how quick he moved and where he moved to. He went.
Or did he not lead the apostles, the disciples? He
Well,
grabbed,
he
he
didn't.
went to them and said,
But he didn't,
"Come
he
follow
said,
me."
come follow me.
Yeah, you're
And then he
right.
walked.
But he didn't
It
grab
was their
their hand and
choice.
say, yeah.
It was their choice. And it's our choice. And it's our family's choice, and so on and so forth. Dottie.
And remember, Yeshua's family thought he was crazy.
Mhm.
So, if they've persecuted the master like that, then what can we expect from our relatives?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we believe that it's up to us whether they accept it or not, and that isn't it. We need to be listening to the Spirit of God and only say what He tells you to say. If you say too much or too little, then you're not doing what He told you to do. And that can hurt the fruit, if you try to, put too much on them at once, then they're overwhelmed. And so I think we have to just be really careful to listen to the Spirit of God and do what He tells us, when He tells us, how He tells us, and leave the result to Him.
We need to go in with not our guns blazing, with our ammunition, what we put in, but what he will put in for us. Because if we prepare, we're doomed to fail.
It's like when I'm at work, somebody will ask me something. I've got all the guys asking questions now.
Cool.
And I always carry my Bible with me. And I'll tell them, there's my book, look it up. And I'll tell them where to go to look it up. I said, if you don't look it up and read it for yourself, you don't own it.
Right.
And
You do not own it.
that's what you're held, the whole world, every mouth is silenced, and the whole world held accountable to God.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that simple of a thing. Okay, let's move on. Okay, then you asked about afflict your souls. We talked about it in here before, but depending on your translation, let's say deny yourself, deny thee, afflict your souls in King James. Ana nefesh. Primitive roots, that means it's going to be a verb, through the idea of looking down or browbeating, to depress, literally or figuratively. It's that humbling that we're talking about over here. And nefesh is just the breathing creature. That's the noun. Your soul, your being. Because you have the breath in you, the root word nefesh. So, deny yourselves, afflict your souls is to deny yourself, to humble yourself, your soul. Simply put, to, as Jay was talking about, honor God. Rehearse coming before the judgment seat. Realize that you can't bring anything to this party, to this game. And if you try to bring your stuff in and show what you've done, because no one will be declared righteous by observing the law, that's the second part of Romans 3:19, it's 3:20. You can't go in and say, look what I did. Me, 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 me. It's You're God and I'm not. That's what afflicting your souls. Now, there is, we'll get to it in a second. Afflicting your souls is more than a fast or denial of something. We hear this, deny yourselves, and we kind of put our ideas on it. Well, I'm going to deny myself this pleasure or this gift or this whatever or this whatever. We kind of put that focus on it, but that's really not what the idea, the deep-rooted idea of this is. It's deny yourself. Don't keep yourself from having something, but deny that you can do anything to earn what you've received.
Well, and Yeshua said, deny yourself and take up your cross.
And
He gave us instruction there.
yeah,
That's part of denying ourselves, putting aside what we desire and taking up what He desires,
yeah.
no matter what it looks like or how we do or do not like it.
Deny yourself, take up your cross, and
Follow me.
follow me.
And that picture of take up your cross is that what we're talking about is dying daily.
Mhm.
That there's that sacrifice that we were talking about, that living sacrifice. It's not, we can't sacrifice goats and, or
Yeah.
whatever. It's not about that sacrifice.
No.
It's taking your sacrifice because you're a priest in a different order. You can do that sacrifice, and you should do it daily.
And I think Isaiah 58, when you had us read, shows us what God's looking for in humbling ourselves. It's taking away from self. Now, if I spend all day this is just me personally, if I spend all day at home and I refuse food, I'm thinking about myself, honestly.
Mm.
Because I'm thinking about the fact I'm hungry, but no, I'm fasting. I'm hungry, but no, I'm fasting. So I'm thinking about myself. Have I truly afflicted myself? No.
You may feel like you suffered, but there's a difference.
Right.
Wasn't that kind of like Paul talking about, or Jesus talking about the Pharisees putting on long, sad faces,
Yeah.
don't fast as they do?
Well, see, their heart was, look at me,
Yeah.
look how much I'm fasting, look how poor
Holy.
and humble and humble I am, look at me, which I think the thought process initially must have been right. I mean, it must have been something good about it, but it developed into this, I'm going to humble myself, but look at me humbling myself, kind of a thing. I think that's where, and that's the danger we have with anything if we don't seek the Father on it, truly seek Him, and make sure that what we're doing lines up with what He has here. If it goes against this, then we need to do away with it, we're in trouble. Now, do these other things that there go against this?
No.
And I will never tell you they are. They do. I'll never say these are wrong. I'll never say traditions are bad. Unless, like we talked about, you use them wrong. You elevate them. You impose them on people. Try and force your family to do them. Things like that, Jim.
What came to mind for me was almost that old saying where they said, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I mean, like I think it's true that there were many elements of the Pharisees, especially going way back to the starting of the building of fences and things like that their intention really was to protect the people and to uphold the Torah and to,
Exactly.
exalt it and lift it up. But again, those intentions over time can
We're twisted by the.
fail.
And, we can put a list of
Sure.
Christian traditions up there that are just
Absolutely.
the same.
Well, and I think it absolutely applies when we talk about how the intention to say, well, let's move this holy day to Sunday because we'll get more people in, so we can influence them to bring them to God. Let's move this holiday because we'll get more. It'll be easier for them to kind of come in on the equinox here, and they're celebrating already, so we'll bring them in, and all these really probably very good intentions. They weren't set to say,
Yeah.
it wasn't that little cackling. it was really a good, they were intended to do things, but
Over
it
time.
wasn't his work necessarily.
It became
Yeah.
later on both sides of all the fences. Okay,
Leah has
Yes.
something.
I think maybe we're missing one of the main ideas of what the holidays are about. God created us as creatures who need to celebrate, and I think another part of that is every day we're supposed to do these same things, but many times we get so wrapped up in our daily living and all the cares of life that we don't take time to stop and really
Right.
focus on it. So I think wearing
Absolutely.
white and fasting, you asked us to tell you that. My husband
Yep.
and I aren't going around moaning and groaning and thinking about not eating and all that sort of thing. But I think it's a day when you really focus on this day, like Jim says. I mean, all the things that are involved in this. It's not really a joyful day because there's much pain in it. But for our children, we want them to grow up and know what this is different than any other day.
Right.
And that it's, you know, we have little traditions that we do that sets it apart from all the other days when we're so supposed to still be doing those same things. Every day we need to look in the mirror and we need to be judging ourselves and humbling ourselves. But this is a special day. And one of the things that bothers me about this problem with the day is we completely lose unity amongst ourselves because it's just like saying God's name, this Jehovah or Yahweh or however we're gonna do it. We're losing the whole unity of it. It's just like Christmas. It was a big day that everybody does it. And it's not that that's the only day you love people and that you spend it together, but it's a day that is set apart. And when we start dissecting it and we're gonna go by the moon, is it this one or that one? We lose the joy and the beauty of being of one mind. And you know, the Jewish people have been doing this for thousands of years. And if this is the day they've designated for, and we want to unify ourselves with them, then I think today is the day. And so, you know, I'm not offended if other people want to do it that, but Passover was painful for me this year because there were at least three different days that were being designated as being the right day. And I don't want to do the wrong day. I love God and I want to please Him. But I don't want my family to see us all suffering over whether or not we're getting the day right. And I'll try to do three Passovers. But you know, we can all fast and remember the day on Monday and Tuesday and all the other days that people are going to be doing this too. But the point is to remember. And this is a specific focus on what is happening.
And as Jim said, there's some really serious future implications to this. One thing you're saying, Leah, you know, some of these things, every day. We shouldn't be waiting till the 10 days of awe to do good works or to go reconcile to our brothers. You know, these are daily how we're supposed to live our lives. But like you said, if we get so wrapped up in our lives that we don't ever stop, at least we've got one point in the year where we can go, okay, wait a minute, I'm supposed to do these all year long. This is how I'm supposed to live my life. Is a day where I'm just submitted completely to Him. Because the disunity, the confusion, what does that tell our family who, they're not here, and they see 10 different directions that we're going, and they see, well, why is that, and you guys are there, and you guys are there, you know? And I don't know how to fix that, but if we come at it from, well, we are going to do this because it's just the right way, because we have discovered that this is that. Or, well, you guys are wrong because you're doing it there. You guys are doing that, well, that's just wrong. And we do that all the time, constantly. We would say, oh, we're judging fruit. No, you're not. You're being selfish. I am. I've been there. You know, many times I get frustrated and I want to shake people because they're just not getting it. It's simple. It's this. And there's people in this room I want to shake sometimes, and I'll admit that. What'd you do this time, kid?
You can shake me later on.
Yeah.
If you need.
Trust me.
I know, I do.
Because it's hard sometimes, just personal digression, to be up here and to go through some of these things and to try and present what I think God's giving me to present. Because sometimes I'm not sure. Sometimes it's blatantly obvious and clear because it came straight from Him. Sometimes I don't know if it's me or not. But to stand up here sometimes and hear some of the things that go on, and hear some of the discussions, and hear underlying accusations even coming from me. I mean, I've been guilty of it.
2 weeks
But
later,
to hear-
you want to change your idea anyway.
What's that?
2 weeks or 3 weeks later, or 50 years later, you wish you hadn't done that.
Exactly. Something will come up. But, Ty and I both talk a lot about this book being the authority. And if we're not going to submit to this authority, then why are we even here? And something that I am struggling with in my personal life is to submit to this authority and what that looks like. Because I have my own ideas, I have my own thoughts, I have all my own baggage that I'm carrying along with me that I have yet to get rid of. Every now and then I chug a piece off here and there, but I'm in general carrying a lot of it with me. And to stand up here sometimes and I don't know how to say this without sometimes it's just really, really hard when we don't keep our focus here. When we get focused on so many other things, and I'm as guilty of it as anybody else. I'm not accusing anybody. This is something that I see, but I see it because it takes one to know one, and I are one. The message in this book is really pretty simple. It's not long and drawn out and convoluted, and we don't need to spend 6 hours dissecting a single word and things like that to understand the message of this book. God created us because He was by Himself. Something someone brought up last week. We were down in Abilene. He says, I have this picture in my head of God sitting up there, and He's created the universe. And He's created earth. He has no one to share it with. So He makes man. And because He wants to receive love just like we do. We were house parents in a children's home for 2 years. A lot of those kids have never received love. Just unconditional, I'm going to kick you in the butt, but I'm going to love you and provide for you love. And it was amazing to see the transformation within them when they received love. They want to be loved. I wanted to be loved by them. I want to be loved by my kids. My kids probably want to be loved by me. I don't know. Kids probably like that kick in the butt, love you stuff.
Well, that's the desire of any man's heart.
Yeah. And
Man or woman, either one, that's.
it's the desire of God's heart to have people love Him and He can love them in return. And that's what the covenant is about, is love. In the beginning and in the end. In the beginning, the covenant was made. Us, we're together. So now He's waiting for all that to be restored. It will be, and we have to choose to be a part of that. That's why Yeshua said, take up your cross, deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow me, because I'm going this way, and you can come whether you want to or not. And it's hard. It really is to do that every day. And I'm not going to make any excuses for, well, it's where I work, or it's my family, or it's this, it's me. It's me. That I don't want to take up my cross every day. don't want to follow him every day. Yeah, I feel like I'm smart and I know stuff, I can figure something out. But no sooner than I do that, and what does he do? You big dummy, you don't understand anything yet. Anyway, personal introspection, which is what this time is all about, in one way. I think let's get that. There are just, this is the word that's translated as fast, denying food, just for your information.
In the New Testament, when it talks about fasting, it says to wash your face
What
and
is
fill your
this?
head with oil,
What is this?
and not be like the hypocrites who make their faces all disfigured.
References to
And
fasting.
it's when I do that, I'm
References
not
to
thinking about the
fasting.
food all day.
Oh, right.
I'm just anointing my head with oil. I don't anoint my head with oil. So when I do
Is
that,
the word for
it's like
fasting?
my entire character for the day is different because I don't want to be, oh, I'm hungry, oh, I'm just groggy, just not feeling well. But when I'm doing it for another reason, it's not for myself. Otherwise, it'd be a diet. I don't want to go. This is the way I think about it. Like, if we do it and we know our heads, and it totally changes our character and our entire mood for the entire day, then we're doing it for the right reasons and not for personal gain. Because a lot of people do it, I'm going to fast for a week, and then I'm going to get a promotion. It doesn't work like that.
If you look at these references, kind of what Brother Hill was talking about, a lot of this is in mourning for something that has happened, is happening, or will happen, or it's seeking God. Solemn occasions, and none of these, I don't believe any of these are Day of Atonement specific. They're fast, not taking food. Again, just for your information, I was going to talk about those, but I think we need to leave that for right now. Because there's some very interesting things in there, but we can look at another time. But
what I was trying to get at, I'm not knocking traditions, I'm not knocking how anyone does it. But in Isaiah 58, he says, you call this a fast, but you're focusing on yourself. And we have always said in this congregation, there are two rules, Rule 1 and Rule 2, and they're not separate. John, in 1st and 2nd, 3rd John, tells us that if we are loving our neighbor, we are loving God. If we are loving God, we are loving our neighbor. And he says in Isaiah 58, what good is it to humble yourself if you're not taking care of other people, if you're not loving your neighbor? He says, that's not the fasting I've chosen, to sit around in sackcloth and to let people know you're fasting and to deny yourself food. Basically, he says here, that food, that meal that you're skipping, why aren't you giving it to somebody else? That sackcloth you're wearing is to the clothes, why aren't you giving those clothes to somebody else? It comes back to combining Rule 1 and Rule 2. And that's where I find more meaning in Yom Kippur now than I ever had. I mean, years I fasted. But like I said, I spent the whole day thinking about the fact that I was hungry, but I'm fasting. I'm doing the right thing. And yet, I wasn't doing the right thing because I was focused on me, thinking I was loving him, and I'm totally forgetting what he said here. He says, if you love me, you're going to love your neighbor. If you're loving your neighbor, you're going to be loving me. And I needed to tie that back in. That's where I needed to see Yom Kippur as different.
I just went through and ran some scriptures on the book of life, because I had never really sat down and looked at it. I'd heard, what people say, and I'd heard that at this time of year the books are open and then they're closed, and I didn't know where that fit, because it must fit somewhere, so I had to look and where that was fitting. Book of Life, Exodus 32, when we mentioned this a little bit earlier, when the Israelites sinned with the golden calf, Moses went to Yahweh and said, "Forgive their sin, but if not, blot me out of the book that you've written." And Yahweh said back, "Whoever sinned against me, I'll blot out of the book." So he didn't say, "No, sorry, I'm not going to blot you out and let them live." He said, "Whoever sins against me, I'm going to blot out the book." Psalm 69, David is petitioning Yahweh, "May they," and David's referring to his enemies, "be blotted out of the book of life." Daniel 12, at that time, the distress that was greater than has ever been before or again, everyone whose name is found written in the book will be delivered during that time of distress and trouble. Luke 10, she was talking to the 72 he sent out, and they come back going, "Wow, we can't believe what happened, what we did. This was amazing stuff." And he says, "Don't rejoice that the Spirit sent me to you." Well, that's what had just been happening to them. "But rejoice that your names are written in heaven." Paul, appealing to some folks in Philippi, helped the fellow workers, and this was Philippians 4 as a unity, whose names are written in the book of life. Hebrews 12, talking about the heavenly tabernacle, you have come to the church of the firstborn, whose names are written in heaven. And then Revelation, which is where a lot of the other references are. Specifically to the church in Sardis, "He who overcomes will, like them, be dressed in white. I will never blot out his name from the book of life. Who will acknowledge his name before my Father and his angels." Revelation 13, "All the inhabitants of the earth will worship the beast, all whose names have not been written in the book of life, belonging to the Lamb that was slain from the creation of the world." To chapter 17, "The inhabitants of the earth whose names have not been written in the book of life from the creation of the world will be astonished when they see the beast." Revelation 20, "The books are opened along with the book of life. The dead are judged by what was recorded in the books, and anyone whose name was not found in the book of life was thrown into the lake of fire." And Jim, that's what I was referring to. That got me thinking, what books?
Yeah,
Because the book of life and the books are two separate things there. So,
yeah, because it's along with, so they're
Along with.
implying other books.
right. And the dead are judged by what was recorded in the books. In Revelation 21, "Only those whose names are written in the Lamb's book of life will enter the city." One thing I didn't find, except really kind of in here, is the names are written in from the beginning, it seems like, and can only be blotted out.
Your name's recorded in the book of life before the foundation of the world.
Right there, Revelation 17. So the traditional view of books being opened on Rosh Hashanah and being closed on Yom Kippur, I personally am not going to follow that belief because of what I found in Scripture. What I don't want to have is my name blotted out. That's what I'm going to seek.
But isn't 17:8 actually saying the inhabitants of the earth whose names have not been written in the book of life from the creation of the world? So not everybody's name is written in the book from.
Vessels of mercy, vessels of wrath.
Yeah.
It's in the book of life. You've got what, the book of
Okay, well,
names?
yeah, so again, maybe
Book of
that's
names.
the book of life.
Yeah.
There's other book, like you said, there's other books, so, yeah,
Yeah, I don't know what
yeah,
all the other books are.
right.
He was there.
The book of the wicked.
Yeah.
No, what's